in
Yes.
our faces because your average Joe is not getting an opportunity to say this.
Yes.
Sometimes they don't even get an opportunity to say much or nothing before you snatch their bank account, the money out of their bank account,
Mhm.
right? Or garnish wages or things
Mhm.
like that. So we did, and you know what? Let me not, because it's not like we don't. I'm gonna say something. People may not agree with me. It's two different playing fields.
Mhm.
It's two different. They're different playing fields. Let's just call it what it is. We want to say they're playing in our faces, but it's power.
Mhm.
It's there are power plays, power games, power, and you don't carry the power, so you can't say, oh, I'm gonna sue y'all for $10 billion. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Financial Fraud Friday. There is so much going on and so much to discuss. There are a couple of things we could have drew on this go round, but this week, Karina and I have chosen to dive into the headlines surrounding Trump's tax settlement agreement, this anti-weaponization fund it intends to create, and what this decision could mean from a tax perspective moving forward. So we're going to talk about that today, okay? For those of you who are not familiar with me, my name is Nike Togba. I am the owner of Togba and Associates, a tax planning and advisory firm in the Atlanta, Georgia area. We focus on entrepreneurs and professionals. We assist you and lessen the work so that you can focus on what you do best. Some of the services we provide are tax preparation, tax planning, and advisory. If you are interested in working with us, I encourage you to schedule a consultation by visiting topaandassociates.com.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Kerrina O'Connor, the owner and founder of Cake with the K Financial, where we help solopreneurs who have tax problems resolve those problems so they can run their business with confidence. We are a South Florida based firm, but we help everyone throughout the nation. So, usually it includes people who have a tax bill that they cannot pay in full to the IRS or the state, or if they have back taxes that they have not filed for the last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 years. And if that is you, please make sure you book a link in our bios. So, just a quick disclaimer. Disclaimer. This episode is for educational and informational purposes only. This is not legal, tax, or financial advice. All information discussed comes from public court filings, news reports, and press releases. Everyone discussed is presumed innocent unless proven guilty in court. While we are tax professionals, we are not yours yet, but we can be. Book a link in the bio. And Nikkei, what is the topic for today?
Well, all right. So I'm just gonna I'm going to, it's been all over the news, but I'm going to touch on a few bullet points, give some background information, and then, let's dig into this thing. But so basically, um, um, Trump had a lawsuit, just basic background information, you guys. Trump and his co-defendants, they announced, what was this, Monday, May 18th, um, that they would drop their lawsuit as well as other claims and damages in connection with the 2022 search of his Mar-a-Lago, Florida home, search of Mar-a-Lago, his Florida home, and in connection with the collusion scandal in exchange for creating the fund. He's saying, all right, got a suit against my own, this against my own. Anyway, suing them for how much was it? $10 billion. He's suing the IRS for leaking his tax information, okay? Um, and so on Monday, the Justice Department announced that in connection with him dropping that suit against the IRS, that the Justice Department was going to establish a 1.77 billion anti-weaponization fund, okay? In exchange for, and I want to keep, I'm going to keep reiterating the in exchange for dismissal of that $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS. Okay. Now, according to NBC News article that I read, the fund was established ahead of court deadlines in the IRS case. So ahead of court deadlines in the case, which would have required the Trump administration to explain whether there was an actual case to even be heard. That's, put a pin in that for me, okay? As far as this fund is concerned, they're saying that the Attorney General would appoint 5 members of a commission would manage the fund. The Attorney General would appoint 5 members, um, and they would oversee this fund. Uh, one member is to be chosen in consultation with congressional leadership. And they've added that Trump could remove any member. Kerrina, thoughts?
Yeah, lots of thoughts.
Thoughts?
Like every day is just something new. That's just how I envision it. And especially with the IRS, like all I hear, like I hear it, and but like all I hear is like one more thing. That's what I all I hear is one more thing. Because like it's unprecedented to for a president to sue another legislative, like another branch of government, like so quick civics, because you'll actually be surprised how many people do not know civics. um the government has 3 branches: judicial, executive, legislative. And the fact that the executive branch is suing the government, it is just like what like it just doesn't make any sense. It's like me just well yeah it's like me deciding, or my dad or somebody deciding to sue me, and we're in the same household and we're just doing this like that's basically like what
That's
this
how in
is
layman's, yeah.
in layman's terms, to understand like what this means. So if the actual lawsuit went through, the IRS would have to pay $10 billion to the president, and then the IRS is also a government, which means it's us. It's us. It's the people. Like we
Exactly.
pay.
So where are you getting this money from, sir,
It's us.
ma'am,
We're paying. It's not like money's gonna come out of thin air. It's us. Like what?
sir, ma'am, where you get and how you got money? How do we have money for this, but we don't have money for that?
Yeah, that's a
You know
whole
what I
other
mean?
thing.
It's the playing in my face for me. Like, let's let's
It's a lot. It's like, okay. And then the settlement. So like was the lawsuit just put in just for the settlement? Because I don't think the lawsuit was really, you know what I'm saying? I think it was like a pump fake for all intents and purposes. You know what
okay.
I mean?
Yeah,
And
because
the real thing is getting this fund, the anti something fund and
weaponization fund.
weaponization. Yeah, I think that's the real play.
I don't want to, because you know that, you know me,
Mm-hmm.
you know how I feel about politics, and you know how I get when we start to talk about politics. So I do that. I try to do that with you and I in private, so that I don't go there. But basically, I mean, and they say in a one-page addendum, I don't know, y'all probably can't even see this. It's literally one page. It's half the page. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
it.
Kind of. I mean, I can't see the words, but I can see it.
But
But like,
exactly.
yeah,
But you see they say it
yes.
one page, but girl, it's half a page. And this thing basically says this settlement agreement, and this says Trump versus Internal Revenue Service, yada yada yada, has created the Anti-Weaponization Fund, aka the fund. The settlement agreement directed the Attorney General to issue an order establishing funding and any other relevant requirements for the fund. That's part A. Part B talks about the capitalization of wording, blah, blah, blah. Okay, C. The United States releases, waives, acquits, and forever discharges each of the plaintiffs from and is hereby forever barred, that's in capital letters, and precluded, also in capital letters. Oh, releases, waives, acquits, and forever just discharges, that's in capital letters also.
Mm-hmm.
From prosecuting or pursuing any and all claims, counterclaims, causes of actions, appeals, or requests for any relief, including injunction relief, monetary relief, damages, examinations, or similar or related reviews, appeals, debt relief, costs, attorney's fees, expenses, and or interest, whether presently known or unknown, that as of the effective date of the settlement agreement, have been or could have been asserted by defendants against any of the plaintiffs or related or affiliated individuals, including without limitation, family or others filing jointly, or parties including trusts, parents, a sister, or related companies, affiliates, and subsidiaries by reason of, with respect to, in connection with,
Yeah.
or which arise out of any of the right? Okay. And I'm gonna just stop there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the part that's also important. Like, in addition to it's costing us, it's also okay. So, the way the IRS works, and I think it's important for people to know and understand when the IRS is pursuing things that are considered fraudulent, right? So, on a normal day basis, if you get an audit, I think it's back 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. But if fraud is suspected, it is indefinite,
They can.
meaning forever, meaning they can go back as far as they need to uncover the fraud, and you will have to pay back as far as you need to. My understanding with this case, because his documents were leaked, there was suspicion, can't speak. There was suspicion of fraudulent things happening. So it was going to be a pursuit with like the IRS. The IRS actually has a CI, what is it, criminal intent or something like that. They have a criminal intent like thing that they look for criminal stuff and all the things. So this settlement is saying that him, his family, his friends, his associations, his estates, anything tied cannot be brought up on any charges, any penalties at all.
Who
The only thing that I'm not understanding fully is it from now back, or with only, or is this continue it, you know what I mean,
it
what I mean,
says it
the
says
wording.
it says in connection with or which arise out of any matters that were raised or could have been raised in the case or the pending agency claims,
Okay.
lawfare and or weaponization, or any matters currently pending or
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
could be pending, including tax returns filed before the effective date, this agreement,
Okay.
before defendants or other agencies or departments. So it doesn't look like it's going
Okay, that's
forward.
good, but
It's from
back.
this point back. But that
Which
covers
means
exactly what you're talking
exactly,
about, right?
which means that everything back from fraudulent, it does not matter anymore because this settlement is in here. So me, us as people, like regular taxpayers, if we were caught in anything fraudulent, we
We
would
went
have to abide by the law, but they don't have to. This is what the settlement is saying. And not just one person. This is multitude of
blanketed,
entities and people
blanket.
and things. Like what? Like, and once again, we are paying for it. Like what?
This is playing
It's
in
just
our faces because your average Joe is not getting an opportunity to say this.
right.
Sometimes they don't even get an opportunity to say much of nothing before you snatch their bank account, the money out of their bank account,
Right.
right? Or garnish wages or things like
Right.
that. So we did, and you know what? Let me not, because it's not like we don't. I'm gonna say something. People may not agree with me. It's two different playing fields.
Mm,
It's two different. They're different playing fields. Let's just call it what it is. We want to say they're playing in our faces, but it's power.
mm.
It's there are power plays, power games, power, and you don't carry the power, so you can't say, oh, I'm gonna sue y'all for $10 billion for wrongfully,
Mhm.
let's say the people who, because we were talking about the Wong case. That's something else
Yeah.
we could have discussed, right? But let's just go ahead and bring that in, right? So you wrongfully charge these people, excuse me, during COVID penalties and interest, whatever, whatnot. Had it not been for this man suing and saying, hey, look, I thought all penalties and interest, all this stuff was supposed to be frozen. How come you guys were still charging taxpayers this amount of money? And look at how long they waited, right? To rectify the situation. We only have a set deadline to rectify those people who were unjustly charged because if they miss the deadline, they've got to pay those penalties and fees, do they not?
Oh, that's a
Right?
different conversation. We always
Oh, all right.
so
Okay. I'm gonna
that's a
leave that
different
one alone.
conversation. We could just to glance on
We'll stick a pin in it.
just a smudge to like glance and glaze over it because quant isn't necessarily about COVID. It just opened up for COVID. So it was a case where it was I think it was different years. It wasn't COVID years that he had to pay penalties and fees. And the way the judge had it, because it was considered a natural disaster, and the way that the judge read it was that based on the natural disaster, there's like a certain deadline, like say I'm making up a date. I'm making up dates. Say we say May 27th. That is when the national disaster ended. And then your penalties and stuff won't be starting until 90 days after that deadline.
Okay.
So that's the reason why it now applies to COVID because that case went through and then the IRS is appealing it and the whole things. But it wasn't original. We're just using it for COVID because COVID was a disaster that had a date involved. So it's like, did the IRS charge
I
people
see.
for the date and the date plus the
The
90
90
days that they
days.
yeah. So it's that little gap.
But still, but
Yeah,
still,
but
right?
still.
If you did wrongfully do that to me, I don't get to come back and say, well, now I'm going to sue you, right? So not
Because
only
you don't
do
have the
you,
money. We don't have the money in the position. You know what I mean? Like,
this is, and I knew I'd be stuttering because what do you say? This is one of those cases where you just got to sit back and be like, well, let's see how this plays out because I don't have a,
it's crazy.
I
We
don't have
like I don't even know, this is wow, it's kind of like, okay, what can we do? It's like at this point, it seems like this fund is going forward. So the fund is for people can apply to it to basically get their money. Like, shoot, how do I apply? Like, I don't
so my general understanding, because I, my general
know.
understanding of what happened here, of the timeline of what happened here, is because I just read, what I read was the fund was established ahead of deadlines in the case, which would have required the Trump administration to explain whether there was an actual case to be heard. So then
Mm,
how do you, before that deadline, knowing that the
decide.
possibility is there that if they were to come to front and say, well, this is why we think the case should be heard. Because is this correct? Before the case should be heard. So what if the decision was, you don't have a leg to stand on, sir, go sit down somewhere.
They're creating it anyway.
That could have been the answer, right? So ahead of that, and knowing that that could have been the answer, how do you come to the table? Because to me, then that means y'all were just, are you guys really having an argument? Are you guys really
Mm.
against one another? Or are you're playing for the same team? Because if I'm arguing with someone and I want to take them to court, or they're taking me to court, and it's time for them to present whether or not the case that they're trying to bring against me is even relevant, We going to court. Cause,
Mm.
cause
There's
let's hear if
so
this is relevant, right? Why
yes,
would I say, no, 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 don't worry about it. We ain't gotta go to court. Come on, let's
the
figure this out
settle.
together. Huh? What? Right?
There's so much.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a
There's so much.
lawyer. I
I
just
don't.
deal with this from a tax. How do you sit in front of a taxpayer who owes 100 and something K, whatever, whatever, when they're talking about freezing their accounts and all kind of crazy stuff. And you know what? Now that I'm saying that, Karina, I could be arguing this from the wrong perspective, right?
Okay. What do you mean?
Because he was suing the IRS.
Yes.
It wasn't another, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm speaking from the perspective of the IRS coming
Being the
after the
plaintiff.
taxpayer. In this case, it's the taxpayer going
Okay.
after the IRS. And
Right.
so, am I really arguing apples to apples? Am I really
Oh, I get what you're
arguing?
saying. That's a
You get
great
me?
it's a great assessment. Because yeah, like there's a lot here too. Like if this would, yeah, we're doing the settlement, but what if this would have actually went forward where it's going to go to tax court? Like, you know what I mean? Like, will we go all the way
Mm,
to tax court as the final? Um, this it's just so weird. And then what happens if the IRS is found to be lacking and to be found guilty, or to
right.
have
Who pays
and
that? Is
then
the
have
government?
to give the president back? Like, it's just so much here, because it's never happened before. This is not normal. Like, this doesn't happen. So I don't know. Like, like, I guess it'll have to go through proper channels to go all the way up to tax court, because that's what happens when a plaintiff feels wronged by the government entity, which would be the IRS. It's just interesting that that plaintiff is also part of the government that is over said, like it's just so much
Exactly.
nuance here.
Exactly. So, and then
Um, and
go
then
ahead.
it's
I'm
not
sorry.
just that, it's also using the seat for personal gain, because it's not just, okay, this is him as presidency, this is him prior to presidency. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he just happens to be in position of power now, but the actual leakage was, I think, before presidency, if I'm not mistaken, or
Mhm.
maybe it was during. Um, but about his personal tax returns, it's just so much. Like, it's really so much. Like, I don't know how that would have turned out, which is maybe why they decided to do the settlement, which is why I'm saying, like, maybe this $10 billion was just to, like,
You're right.
you know what I'm
I agree
saying?
with
And
you.
then, like, the end goal was to have this
Was
settlement.
that in the first place? Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know how many years this probably would have taken just to reach
No.
up to tax court and figure out what the hell to do regarding this, and how tax court would even go about this, especially, like I said, if they say fraud was involved, and then they could go back however many years because fraud was involved, which is why the settlement specifically saying me plus all of my people, and nothing can be touched.
I ain't never seen nothing like it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I've
No,
never,
like, so
I've
yeah, so like, and then the thing is with, like, the IRS leaking. So the IRS is pushing it off. My understanding, at least, is they're pushing it off to say it was a contractor that leaked um, Trump's tax returns, not the IRS. Which, if the contractor works for you, you know what I mean. Like, that's back to real life and like, how it works for you. If your business, if you are working with a contractor, one, you need to make sure that you have a contractor agreement, independent contractor agreement as a business owner. And your contractor does something to your clients illegally or whatever, it was still under your business because you're the one who did the contract. So that person can go ahead and sue you. You can probably sue your contractor as well, but the person is going to more than likely sue you for whatever. You get what I'm saying? Hopefully, like
Yeah.
I'm not like
Yeah.
confusing,
No, no.
because when you have employees, the employees represent you. When you have contractors that you are paying and whatever else, they're also representing you and your business. So you need to make sure that you know who is just on like a small business level, and make sure you have your contracts in place. So if they do something like that, and insurance, so if they do something like that, you can sue the contractor. But that's just like random tidbits.
Okay. And I okay. So he sues the IRS,
Mm-hmm.
and the IRS says, I don't even know if it's the IRS. Can the IRS even say this? Can the
Mm-hmm.
IRS say, who is saying this? Who, you know what I mean? I would need
That's
someone
a
to
good
explain
question.
that to me because it's not the IRS that's saying, or is it? Because it's not like the IRS has coffers somewhere and they're just like, we keep this money in our meals
Oh,
and
that's a good
entertainment
question.
fund, this is the
That's
fund.
funny.
This is our fund for entertainment. We're just gonna take the money
That is
there
hilarious.
to pay. Do you get what I'm saying? So
Yes.
not only he's receiving listen to what he's getting.
Community.
He's saying, I'm not gonna sue you. Where, as we say, where they do that at? I'm not gonna sue you, and you're gonna gift me for not suing you.
Oh
Not
yeah.
only are you see what I'm saying? Not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
only so for me not suing you, I want you to give me immunity. Not only me, my whole crew gets immunity, and you're gonna pay me. So did you
Yeah.
lose? Do you get what I'm saying? Because had
Yeah.
you lost,
Yeah.
all you would have had to do was pay him the money. Nobody would have gotten immunity. Do you under my brain is going with this? What
Yes.
are we talking about? So he basically ended up, had he sued
Yes.
them and they lost, okay, you owed a man $10 billion. Let's just say that that would have been the case. You owed a man $10 billion, but he would not
Mm-hmm.
have gotten off.
It's crazy.
He would still be able to be investigated. So what are we looking at here? Like what game?
I don't know.
What game
It's
is
just
this? What game is this? And I know we're supposed to be talking about this from a tax standpoint, but my mind is blown. And the only way that, the only way I can bring this down a couple of notches to just the simple tax standpoint is your average taxpayer would never
yeah.
have access to this type of relief.
Yeah.
Like me going and saying, let me tell y'all something, I'm not gonna sue y'all for freezing my account. Because sometimes it happens. Sometimes they will freeze your account and they weren't supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened, something was off, some data was
Yes.
missing, and they incorrectly froze your assets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can come back and argue. Do they pay out? Have you heard of any? I don't know of any cases where they were
I don't
found
know.
to be wrong for freezing someone's assets and then had to pay them damages. I
I
don't
don't
know. I
know
would
of
have
any
to research
cases,
that.
but I don't personally know of any cases, but I just don't know. So I won't. Yeah,
Right?
I don't
And
know.
then to throw in there, and you can't ever look back at this stuff ever again. You
Yeah,
can't
not
appeal.
just this, but anything
You can't come for
before.
my mama. You can't come for
Nobody.
my kids. You can't come for,
Nobody.
right? The average
Crazy.
taxpayer does not have access to this. So,
It's like, yeah. So I was over here reading the fund and stuff and trying to see. It's very, very interesting because it says within like I'm looking at the Office of Attorney General, like this settlement agreement that he like wrote. Basically it says within 60 days of the effective date, which is May 18th. So within 60 days of May 18th, basically requesting that the United States shall provide the U.S. Department of Treasury. U.S. Department of Treasury is the department that the IRS is over. So still the IRS, but like, you know, the IRS is daddy, like for like a better word. I gotta explain to the people because you know, oh, it's different. It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, no.
Um, with all necessary forms and documentation to direct a payment of 1.776 million to an account for sole use by the Anti-Weaponization Fund. The corpus of the Anti-Weaponization Fund funding does not represent the value of any claim by plaintiff, but rather it's based by the projected valuation of future claimants' claim. So basically saying that the projected valuation, this 1.776 million was they're basically saying that it's not projected by the
Billion, right?
claimants.
Billion. It's a billion.
Billion,
Billion,
sorry,
okay.
billion, yes. The value of any claim by plaintiff, it's not representative of that, but rather it's based on projected valuation of future claimants' claims. So they're like, oh, it's not us that's making up this number, but it's somebody, but it's literally 1776. Like what? That's not
That's not a
that's
coincidence.
not an independent valuation amount. Like what? What? That's what it says. So I'm like, that's interesting. Like, okay.
So how'd you come up with this number?
Yeah, right. Like who knows? So it's just very interesting because like we're seeing all of this. Like, so in was it 60 days of this, if we have this fund, it's 1.776 that the money's coming from somewhere. Like this is not like this is not like out of the air money. Like the money's coming from somewhere. Um and we're gonna have to pay it. So that's the part that I'm really annoyed about. And the fact that we as regular taxpayers are not going to be able to have this kind of a deal for something like this
But
is
never have
it's
access to something.
like this is upsetting to the least. Like, you know, I'm sure there's some scammers and whatever, all the PPPers would love to would love to have something like this, you know? Um to be able to say, not just me, you can't come after me, my family, my cousins, my house, my job, like, you know, but we don't have that automatic luxury. So it's um unfair. It's an unfair advantage. And like I said, it's not just it's this is not a regular taxpayer. This is a taxpayer that holds the seat of power. Like, you know, I don't know if you ever watched Game of Thrones. You ever watch Game of Thrones?
Mhm.
Okay, you know where Cersei was talking to Littlefinger and she was like, "Power is power." Like, I don't know if you remember that scene, but basically, okay. So let me set it up because it's important.
Let me set it up. Okay, I'm listening because Cersei was a whoo, that girl there
She
was
was.
oh
So
gosh.
I
Okay.
think Littlefinger was like getting into like, you know, he was feeling his britches a little bit. Like, so he's talking to Cersei and he was like, oh, he said something along the lines of knowledge is power. And then Cersei looked at him and she kind of like smirked a little bit, like, right? She then called all her guards um to like ambush him. She was like, ambush him. And he was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Like, you know, he's like frantic or whatever. He's like, she was like, seize him or something like that. And he's like frantic, like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Oh my God, whatever. You know, he's freaking out. Her henchmen, like her soldiers are doing exactly what she's saying. And then she was like, stop. They stop immediately. She was like, turn around, close your eyes, hop on one foot. Like something crazy, you know, takes 3 steps back. And they did everything that she told him. And then she just like slowly walked up to him and was like, power is power. So you're talking about this knowledge thing and you're talking about how much you know, and you know, Littlefinger was like the whisper, like everybody's talking to him or whatever. But when you're faced with real power in your face, because she could have ended him right then and there. She made
Mm,
sure to let him know, I
hmm.
could end you right now. And these people would do anything that I tell them
And
because I
that
am in power.
is, and that's
So
that's
that
what
is
we're
why.
looking at. That's what we're
Yeah.
looking at.
Yeah.
That's what we're
Power is
looking at.
power.
Power is power. Power is
So
power. And that's what we're looking at. And I told you what DC looked like, but that we can get into that in private when I went up there,
mhm.
what the buildings and what everything kind of gave me the impression of. So power is power.
Power is power.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and so you guys, we're gonna put a pin in it and end on that note. Power is power, and we are looking at power at play. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, somebody way somebody smarter and more talented and well versed than me would have to, I just,
Yeah.
what do we,
Yeah.
we do the best we can to give our clients the advantage that we can give them based on the law within for the power that we have,
Mhm.
what little that is, we do the best that we can and that's what we got, right?
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to go about it or fight it out alone, but we can't do this.
Yeah.
We can't do this. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys. We want to thank you guys for joining us and for listening. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. If you got any questions, we encourage you to follow, like, share, and we are here every other Friday. So,
Yes.
anything to add, Miss Karina?
Usually I don't, but I don't want to leave the people on the low. So
All
like,
right.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? I think it's like what I've gathered for this, you do what you need to do. So what does that mean? Right? Like, one, don't get into fraudulent situations. You will not have this luxury. I think that's number one,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Don't get into fraudulent situations, especially as it pertains to your tax. I mean, obviously, probably overall, but we're talking
Hmm.
tax here, so that's why I'm sticking there. If it is a situation where you find yourself involved in some type of fraud and you want to get out and whatever else, you need to first get a tax attorney and figure out what your options are as far as like taxes are concerned. The IRS is a little bit more lenient when you are the one that what's that word? Volunteer, like this call of
You
voluntary,
voluntarily,
yeah, disclosure or something like that.
voluntary
So
disclosure, you're correct.
yeah,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
if you volunteer information about your fraudulent charges, they will be a little bit more lenient than if they find it. Because like I said, once they find, they can go, once it's fraud, it's for
Mm,
like they can go back as far as they need to. This
mm,
can be, if you start in 1998, they can go back as far. It's indefinite, like it's not, there's no limit.
mm.
So there's that, as well as you make sure that you're doing what you need to do. I think another thing too that we gravitated towards is, if you do have independent contract, anybody that is working with you, working on your clients in any way, shape, or form, in any capacity, you need to make sure that you have your contracts um, uh, there. Make sure you have contracts at all times for employees, for independent contractors, etc., etc. Everybody needs a contract, so in case anything happens, you're somewhat covered. Have insurance. General liability if you have like an actual physical location. At the bare minimum, E&O, errors and omission insurance if something goes wrong and somebody sues you. And I think cybersecurity, just because we kind of touched on a little bit of those points in this thing. And another thing I'm going to do personally is see, one, if they even get to this fund. Maybe, if you don't agree with it, maybe you can go ahead and talk to your representatives, email them, call them, ask them a little bit more about this information, ask them to explain it to you, hey, what is this? Or even, how can I myself as a taxpayer, because I was going to search it up, because what does anti-weaponization mean? You know
Yeah.
what I'm
I
saying?
feel like
Can I go ahead and
I've
make
been
an
attacked.
application?
Right. In
Because
an
I
app.
feel, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But you know, just to keep your options open, and it's just like don't stay in the slump.
Yeah.
There's always typically something to do. So just think about that, and that's it.
Yeah.
And if you find yourself in a situation where you have a tax bill that you cannot pay in full, or you have back taxes, if you are worried about the IRS levying your account because you will not be getting the Trump special, please call our office.
Okay.
They will not be lenient towards you. If you've already gotten that intent to levy, they are going to levy your account. Oh, how's the IRS going to know where my bank account? They will be able to find it. They are able to do that. They will know, especially if you have income coming in from, they have special ways to contact your banks, to contact your retirement accounts, to contact your employer and
Well,
get
you gave
the
them all
money.
the information that they need. It's on your tax return.
They don't even have to give it to them because the other people on the other side, because maybe they
Oh,
haven't
giving
filed a
it to
tax,
them too.
are giving it to them.
Right. So they got it.
They can get it.
Yeah. Right.
It's
So,
not something to play with.
yeah.
And you more than likely, especially if you owe them, you will more than likely not get your money back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So just there's always options. Just please just call our office. And Nikki, any last words before we?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. I mean, I'm just we'll see what happens. We'll
We'll
see what
see.
unfolds. Grab your
Yeah.
popcorn, folks. Grab your popcorn, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, you guys, thank you for spending this time with us again. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section. Please follow both of us. Follow Kerrina at Cake Financial. You can follow me at Togba and Associates on Instagram, mostly. And I think Karina is very active on LinkedIn. If you have any questions for either of us, please feel free to visit our website, send us an email. We're pretty hands-on. So, all right, you guys, and thank you for hanging out, and we will talk to you soon. All right.